You are listening to the Booktrospective Podcast, a podcast for all types of books. And even though we read all types of books across all different types of genres, we want to give a disclaimer. Many of our books and a lot of our content sometimes is intended for mature audiences. And we don't believe in censorship, but we do want our listeners to have the opportunity to decide if our episode or podcast is good for them. So with that, let's get into the episode. Hey, it's Dominique.
And Keely.
And you are listening to Booktrospective. And this week we are covering Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas and Keely. How has your week been?
My week has been tiring. My mom just got back from a trip to Jamaica. And, yeah, it's just... the past 2 days, I've spent all my workday wrapping blind dates, so that's fun. I feel like that's all I do, but yeah, that's my week.
Work, and more work. Yeah, I my brain's fried, so there's that. So I just spent 20 minutes trying to get the microphones to work because one of them was only showing up, and that's because only one of them was plugged in. So yeah. Yeah, my brain's messed up. So, what did I do this week? I don't know if I did anything this week. I go to Washington, D.C. next week for my daughter's field trip, and I'm probably going to continue to lose my mind with a bunch of 10 and 11-year-olds. So, that'll be fun. Yeah. But, okay. So, this is our last episode before our break. It is much needed, hence my brain mush. Keely and I are going to still be reading all of the things and posting. We just won't be recording. So we will be back in a few months. But yeah, we're almost 100 episodes. We've gone solid for like almost 2 full years. So we've done a good job.
We deserve a break.
We do. And we have like a book retreat coming up and just summer and movies and all kinds of stuff that we're doing. So I will still see her. At least weekly, probably. Okay, so we are finishing Throne of Glass. I did not reread this. I was going to, and I was just like, no. So it's going to be interesting. Okay, so Keely, you have the blurb.
I do. But I do want to start off by saying that I hate Dominique for...
I know, she texted me, and I said,
putting me through this.
So sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Aelin has risked everything to save her people, but at a tremendous cost. Locked within an iron coffin by the Queen of the Fae, Aelin must draw upon her fiery will as she endures months of torture, aware that yielding to Maeve will doom those she loves, keeps her from breaking, though her resolve begins to unravel with each passing day. With Aelin captured, Adian and Lysandra remain the last line of defense to protect Terrasen from utter destruction, yet they soon realize that the many allies they've gathered to battle Erewhon's hordes might not be enough to save them. Scattered across the continent and racing against time, Chaol, Manon, and Dorian are forced to forge their own paths to meet their fates. Hanging in the balance is any hope of salvation and a better world. And across the sea, his companions, unwavering beside him, Rowan hunts to find his captured wife and queen before she is lost to him forever. As the threads of fate weave together at last, all must fight if they are to have a chance at a future. Some bonds will grow even deeper, while others will be severed forever in the explosive final chapter of the Throne of Glass series.
A word to describe this book. I gotta think of something.
Okay. Okay. Hyphenated. 2 words hyphenated. And it's gut punch.
That's a good one. I'm gonna say devastating. Yeah, it is. It's tough.
Yeah.
So I do have the facts pulled up. Obviously, SJM doesn't need any introduction. I did read something. It was like people. Okay, so there's been all this like it's Bloomsbury. Bloomsbury, like stuff going on, and like we were just talking about the giant ACOTAR stuff, like what's going on. But some people are like speculating that she's turning into like a George R.R. Martin, where like she's built this universe, but it's so big that she like is probably like overwhelmed and doesn't even know what to do. Like, are we ever gonna get ACOTAR 6 is the question. Like, it's almost like, should she just put it to bed and move on? Because it's just gotten, with like, and then also with audience input, like, it's just gotten so convoluted where it's like...
And everybody kind of nitpicking the smallest
and no
detail.
one's going to be happy, like, whatever she writes. And it is just, like, huge. And, like, I don't know how she keeps it together. No. I don't know how any of these authors keep it together. So, especially when it's like they don't even have, like when I saw Rebecca Yarros doesn't have like the books written, like I wouldn't be able to release these books unless I had all of them written. Like, how do you know?
Right.
And like go back and like, I don't know. So there's that. So this book is the last of the Throne of Glass series. I think there's like, not a novella. There was supposed to be a book that came out that was like facts about characters or something like that. I don't know. And I think something did come out, but it's not like another book. So this is the last one. This is 980 pages, which is the longest, I believe. It came out in 2018. And, you know, so obviously just a pre-spoiler warning that there will be spoilers for everything goes. Anything SGM goes in this conversation because I don't know what we're going to talk about. So there's that. So I have to think because I did not prepare. So Kingdom of Ash, we have like the final like match between all of our good guys and Erewhon and Maeve. We definitely have character death. That is so hard. Somebody has to die. She got a lot of flack in ACOTAR. So and she wrote this before, but like that might be why she didn't really kill anybody in ACOTAR because of this. Because this is harsh. She takes out some favorites for sure. We do have like reunions in this book. So we know at the end of Tower of Dawn and Queen of Shadows, I can never remember which one it is. I think it's those two. Aelin was gone. She was captured by, kind of captured / gave herself over to Maeve. Chaol was on his way back from, what's that place called? I want to say the Torch has made, but that's not it. That country has a name. The Southern Continent. He's on his way back from there.
The only thing I could think of was Coggin, and I'm like, that's not it.
It has a name. It's something else. Anyways, and he's married to Irene now. They got married, right?
Yes.
Irene, run for the hills. Anyways, Dorian is where? With the witches. Mm-hmm. Dorian's with the witches. And Lysandra's pretending to be Aelin.
Yep.
Adian's pissy about that. Yep. They're all together with Rowan, but Rowan's also looking for his woman. So there's that. And the cadre are still around. Lorcan's in the doghouse. He sucks. Aelid is with Lysandra and them.
Aelid, Rowan, Lorcan.
They're all together.
And Gavriel are looking for Aelin.
And then Lysandra and Adian are with like Ren.
Yes.
They go back to Harrison. So yeah, honestly, that's all I need to say. We're just gonna talk about it because it's a lot. So if you have not read this entire series, this book, I'm gonna throw in some ACOTAR stuff and some Crescent City stuff at the end if I can think about it. So yeah, like just spoiler warnings. Hear ye, be warned. Also triggers for just like anything. They're the same triggers.
Yeah.
War, misogyny, violence, death, murder,
kidnapping.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
I think. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So I always start with like, this part is called this, and then I never tell you what the rest of the parts are. I will try to remember. So I'm just reading like a generalized summary, and then we're going to talk about things as they come up. So this book is in 2 parts. Part 1 is Armies and Allies. And it basically just opens with Rowan and the cadre, including Aelid, searching for Aelin. Aelin is in an iron coffin, basically. And she is stifled, like iron binds her. She has on an iron mask, iron shackles, and inside an iron coffin. And Fenris was also taken, and he is like stuck in wolf form. And so they kind of like have this language, like they blink
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it 1 for yes or 1 for no?
1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for are you okay, and 4 for I'm with you, I think.
Yeah, and so, like, because obviously they can't talk to each other and he can't help her, but it's the most companionship that she has. And she is literally, like, being tortured, then being healed, being tortured, then being healed. And all she can think about is, like, that story about how, like, a young princess who loved her kingdom, yada, 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 the whole Tyrson thing. So it's pretty terrible. So, Aelin has gone back to the Bane and his soldiers, and they're, like, really concerned because Erewhon has not popped up. And it's, like, wintertime, or it's getting ready to be winter, and they're like, maybe he's going to wait. But then Aelian's like, why would he care? Like, you know, like, they're like, why would he even care? They do have, like, their allies. So the Whitethorn family, Ansel of Briarcliff with, like, all of her people from the Waste, the Silent Assassins, and Galen Ashriver from Windland. Like, all the people that showed up at the end of Queen of Shadows are with them. And Aelin thinks that Erewhon is going to attack in the wintertime because they're going to be at their weakest, because obviously they're human. And they can't they're not good in the snow, but, you know, demon monsters don't care. Of course, the Lords of Terrasen are idiots, and they, like, just don't want to listen to anyone. They think, for some reason, that this monster would wait on the spring. So Lysandra's been impersonating Aelin to keep, like, everyone calm, cool, and collected. Aelin is still, like, really pissy about that. And they're still, like, killing the Vogue, like, throughout this whole thing. And they try to get, like, information out of one of the Vogue that they captured. They're not giving them anything because he's trying to figure out, like, when is Erewhon coming. And Lysandra does get to see Evangeline again. She's, like, perfectly fine. Good news is Evangeline's always perfectly fine, like, so there's nothing bad there. And she's actually staying with Ren. And then Aelin does get word that the troops of Morath have attacked a city in the south of Terrasen. So they are here, essentially. So Alid is with Rowan, Gavriel, and Lorcan. They are looking for Aelin, and they look like south of Doranel. Rowan has, like, been able to, like, capture one of Maeve's commanders and tortures him to, like, try to find out where Maeve's whereabouts are, because they have no idea where Maeve is. She didn't go back to Dornell. Meanwhile, Aelin is just trying to cope, so she's, like, dreaming of like the Lord of the North, which is the stag. Mm-hmm. That's what they call him, yeah. And thinking of, like, the Oakwald Forest, which has, like, all, like, the little sprites and things and stuff like that. And she dreams that the forest, like, burns down. And she wakes up, she's chained to this, like, stone altar. And again, Fenris has to just watch her. And Cairn is, like, this sadistic monster who Rowan and them know, but he's literally a sadist. And he is blood sworn to Maeve, and he is, like, taking so much enjoyment out of torturing her. And they even, like, lace her food and water with iron. Like, she is, like, being subdued from the inside out. And so she has no access to her powers. And Maeve is trying to get Aelin to swear the blood oath to her, so she can stop torturing her. But she's like, I literally will never do that. Like, I'm not going to give you everything that I know and, like, just everything and be your slave. I'm not going to do that. So we go to Manon and the 13. They are, like, on the border of the Western Waste, and Dorian is with them, and they are looking for the Krakens. Because, again, Manon and 13 are now excluded from the Iron blue blood, whatever they call themselves, all those other witches. So she's looking for her family because she, again, is half Kraken, and she wants to try to convince them to fight with him. So they're also searching for the third word key, which was last known to be with Erewhon. And Dorian has, like, basically come up with, like, you know, Dorian he's such a sad, moody little man. We love him. He just wants to sacrifice himself in order to forge the lock that's going to be needed to bind the word keys and seal the gate. So he's been working on his powers, and he's also using word marks, and he conjures up Gavin, who was the first king of Aderlin, and tries to find out where the last word key is, and Gavin just says, like, he can't tell him. Basically, if he tells him, then Elena will disappear forever. And then Dorian, like, gets on Gavin. He, like, calls them selfish and, like, just, you know, as he should, because they are. And Gavin does finally just tell him that the key is in Morath. So we go back to Lorcan, who is very much in the doghouse, and he's basically like, he's with Rowan and them. They got some kind of information out of one of Maeve's commanders, but it's like conflicting, so they don't really know if they should believe it or not. But he's so torn up because obviously Aelin hates him because he literally was crawling after Maeve. Even though he says he wasn't crawling after Maeve, you were crawling after Maeve. Yeah. And you got Aelin taken. So Aelin hates him. She blames him. He's like, I didn't intend for that. This wasn't my fault. And he just wants to save Aelin, but he doesn't know if he'll ever be able to forgive himself. And Rowan dreams of his future with, while I'm sitting here, I wonder if I can send these things to you. He dreams of his future with Aelin, which is them and their children. And she's pregnant. They have 4 children. But, he like wakes up and he just refuses to let Aelin like sacrifice herself in order for like this war. Like he will not let that happen. Okay, let's see if I can find this one and send it to Keely now that she's allowed to see things. Aren't they so perfect? It's so perfect. Okay. All right, so I sent that dream to her. Shout out to the TikTok people. Okay, so we jump over to Chaol, and he still doesn't know, like, he didn't know that Aelin was in Skull's Bay. Like, he is an idiot. So he doesn't know that Aelin has been captured. So he's headed to Aurelia with Irene. And they also have healers from the Tori Chesme. And they have like half of the Kaghan's fleet. And also Nezran and Sartak are with them as well. And then like more people are going to come like even after them. So Chaol is really like worried about this war because stupidly now Irene's life is tied to his. So there's that. And we learn not only are they married, she's pregnant. Because that's just like perfect timing, right? Yep. Like that's great. That is so wonderful. If he dies, she dies, and the baby. That's just great. Okay, Rhys and Feyre. Like I cannot. So anyways. Okay. Oh, and Falcon is with Nezran and Sartak too. The shapeshifter who is Lysandra's uncle that she doesn't know about. So many characters. Okay, so Manon, Manon gets attacked by one of the Stygian spiders. It's the one that she stole the spider silk from for Abraxos's wings. And it also happens to be the same spider who took the 20 years from Falcon's life, which is why he looks like 60 and he's 40 or whatever. And because it took some of his life, the spider is able to like shapeshift. Blech. But Dorian and 13, they're all able to take the spider down, and in exchange for the spider's life, she ends up leading them to the Kraken witches. And this makes Dorian's wheels turn, and he's like, I wonder if I can shapeshift and like get into Morath. I love Dorian. So we go back to Aelin and Cairn. Cairn takes Aelin to Maeve, and they realize they are in Dor now. And Maeve, like, again, forces Aelin to, like, she's kneeling on, like, broken glass. And she puts Mab, which is Aelin's grandmother, right?
Yes.
Mab, okay. She puts her crown on Aelin's head. And then Fenris's twin comes in, Connell. And he's, like, pro-Maeve. Like, he's, like, yeah, he's delusion. And he's, like, telling Fenris, like, he sucks or whatever. He's a disgrace. And she makes him, this is Fenris's twin, kill himself. With the blood oath. Like, oh my gosh. And so Aelin, like, still is like, I'm not going to swear the blood oath to you. And, like, Maeve literally, like, throws glass at her. And Aelin notices that Maeve bleeds black, like the Vogue, which we learned that's because Maeve is a Vogue. She's not Fae. That's why she's been alive for so many thousand years. So Fenris is finally allowed to like change out of his wolf form to like help clean Aelin up, and they're just like distraught like together. So go back to Lysandra and Aedion. Lysandra fights with the Bane, and they're able to take out Erewhon's forces that have showed up in like that small town, and they win the battle. They start heading toward Orinth, which is like the capital, I believe, and that's where Lord Darrow, the one who was like telling everybody about themselves, like Aelin's just an assassin and Lysandra's just a whore, like all that stuff. He's the one who's like been ruling over Terrasen since Aelin's family was murdered, and so he's like waiting for them. So Nezran and Sartak end up telling Chaol that they basically saw, like, as they were flying in, they saw 10,000, like a 10,000 army marching towards Chaol's home because he's from Aniel and he's supposed to be the Lord of Aniel. So they're like, we need to go there, basically. So they plan on going there and saving the city and like taking control of what's called the Ferrying Gap, which is like this mountain pass, to kind of cut them off. And so they want to do that before they like join up with the people in Terrasen. So Chaol and Irene go ahead of them to basically warn Aniel. So Aelin is losing it, as one would imagine. I always think about, have you ever seen the movie The Man in the Iron Mask? It's old, like from the 90s. Is that Leonardo DiCaprio? It's such a good movie. It's so good. I think it is Leo. Man in the Iron. He's like Prince Louis or something. It's from 1998. Yeah, it's Leo. It's a good movie. I always think about him when I think about this. But so Aelin's like losing it, and I'm pretty sure this is when she says the thing. Is this when she says the thing? My tattoo. I don't know what chapter. This is when she does it. Yeah. So she's like, Aelin's realized like Maeve is a Vogue. She's like having visions of her mom, and that's when we get the what exactly does she say? I'm gonna have to play it because I'm like, I love it. Let's see. Oh yeah, when her mom's like, Fireheart, why do you cry? And she's like, because I am lost. And that's when we get the whole you do not yield thing, which is my tattoo, which I love. And so Aelin's literally trying to like bang her way out of it. Like she almost does like burst this thing open. And it sends like a surge of magic down her bond with Rowan, who is able to recognize it and realize that she is in Dornell. So Rowan and the cadre plan to like try to find a way to lure Maeve away from Dornell long enough to rescue Aelin. So we go back with Manon, and the spider is leading them to the Kraken Witches, and Manon meets her great-grandmother, Glynis. And then we go to, like, see what... Or no, we're still with Manon, and basically some of the Yellowlegs end up attacking the Kraken camp, and Manon and the 13 are able to defend them, and Manon basically tells her great-grandmother, that she didn't lead them here, but Dorian is carrying Damaris, and it turns cold because it's like a truth teller, and it basically is detecting a lie. So her grandmother introduces her to another Kraken witch named Bronwyn, who is Manon's cousin. And basically she's like, they're never going to recognize you as their queen. Like, it doesn't matter if you have royal blood. So she's like kind of distraught over that. So Dorian starts studying the spider. He's like, I wonder if I can shapeshift. And he learns that the spider is Vogue and ends up killing the spider. And Glynis tells Manon that only a Kraken queen can light the flame of war and basically summon the Krakens to fight. Like, they won't join the war unless this flame is lit. But Manon must first be accepted as queen to do so. So the Krakens are kind of planning to help their, like, southern clans fight in Ilway versus going with Manon. So Lysandra continues to take Aelin's form, and she goes to Terrasen to meet with Darrow, Adian, and the other Terrasen lords. And like Darrow's like real like, I don't think Aelin has like any right to the throne, and he like questioning that. He's questioning her fire magic because obviously Lysandra doesn't have fire magic and she can't show it. And so then they start like trying to figure out like where should they move their forces. But Darrow's like only allowing certain lords to vote. Like he doesn't recognize Lysandra, and like he's cutting off other people. So they end on like deciding that they're going to retreat to Orinth, which again is the capital, versus defending their southern border. And basically all of the allies in Terrasen like kind of make their allegiance to Aelin clear. So Darrow's kind of pissy about that, but they do agree to follow the troops to Orinth. But they get interrupted because Erewhon sends a Vogue to attack Aelin/Lysandra. Because the Vogue can scent Lysandra's blood and recognizes her as a shifter. And before they're able to like kill him, but before they do, he sends a message like down his bond basically to let like the other Vogue know that Aelin's troops are headed to Orinth, but Aelin's not there. So Aedion decides he's just going to like disregard the plans they made, and he's going to move their troops to the southern border. And so Darrow's spy, his name is, it's Nox.
Yes.
Yes. His spy is Nox, which from the very first book is the guy that Aelin saved, or Selena at that time saved during the like tournament, and he like escaped because obviously Cain was killing everyone. But Nox like obviously knows who Aelin is because she saved his life as Selena, and he can tell basically that Lysandra is a shapeshifter pretending to be Aelin. So Lysandra enlists him in like basically drugging the Terrasen Lord so that Aedion is able to move the soldiers to where he wants them without fighting with them. So Chaol and Irene land at Aniel, and they go to meet with his horrible father. And basically like, hey, like these troops are coming. And his dad's like really not trying to hear that. Like he could care less. He's like, well, we'll just like hide behind our walls. And like, I'm like, I never understand that. Okay, so like when everybody else dies,
right,
what do you think is going to happen? Like that's the thing. Like the same thing when they went to the southern continent. Okay, when they kill everybody else, then what? Like, why are you not? They're not just going to stop and be like, okay, right, we have enough land. Like, no. So the Rooks and the healers also like arrive in Aniel, but like the foot soldiers are marching, so they're like, I would hate to be a foot soldier. Like, why can't I fly?
Gosh.
Why can I not fly or get on the boat? I'm confused.
Like, I'm gonna be exhausted before we get there.
You want me to walk miles, kilometers? No. But like their soldiers are like a week away, and Morath's army is only 3 days away. So like they've got a problem. So we go over to Aelin and Maeve, and Maeve starts putting like false memories in Aelin's mind, like making her confused. And she gives her like the story about an ancient and powerful queen married to the eldest of 3 kings, which is her being married to, I don't remember what his name was. It's not Erewhon. It's like or something. It's something with an O, I feel like. And basically from the libraries of this king, she learned to open doors between worlds and fled to another world with her spider handmaidens, the Stygian spiders. And she disguised herself as a Fae queen so that the kings would not recognize her. The kings created keys to be able to permanently open these gates and control all of the worlds. And when they entered her world, she banished 2 of the 3 of them, including her husband, but the youngest remained, which is Erewhon. And the queen wishes to find the keys, banish the last brother, and live in peace, quote unquote peace. So then Maeve tries to like trick Aelin into revealing where the word keys are, but Aelin doesn't fall for it. So Maeve decides she's going to leave Dornell to try to get a wordstone collar to put it on Aelin. Cause yeah. So Cairn is now in charge of Aelin, and he's going to move her and Fenris to like a more secure location. So Elide starts spreading these false rumors about a captured Vogue prince with a wordstone collar, because that's how they're getting Maeve to like try to come get it. So Maeve has like summoned a massive army around Dornell, and Elide is planning to like enter the city and like ask for Cairn and try to find where Aelin is, which I don't really know how that plan will work. But
yeah.
Hi, do you know where Cairn is? Like, I don't think he gets a lot of visitors. I'm just gonna assume. So there's that. Okay. Come on. All right. So back with Lysandra and Aedion. Lysandra takes a bird form and she flies ahead to look and see like where Morath's army is. There are 50,000 soldiers and the Ilkin. Those things that were like after Elide and Lorcan. And there's also 5 Vogue princes. And all that Terrasen has is 25,000 troops of humans. So that's great. So Morath's forces are like literally like in the next 2 days they're coming forward. They're like killing everyone in the army. So Lysandra goes back to being Aelin, but she obviously does not have her fire magic. So everyone's like looking like, okay, when are you going to use your fire magic and like save us? And she can't. So Elide, meanwhile, sneaks into Dornell and she questions a group of soldiers at a tavern while pretending to be like Cairn's lover. And she learns that Maeve has left the city, but the soldiers don't tell her where Cairn is. But there's a female warrior in the group, and she follows Elide when Elide leaves. And she claims to be a friend of Maeve's cadre and reveals that Cairn is with the soldiers at the city's eastern camp. So Elide and the cadre plan to go to the camp at dawn when they have like a weak spot in their watch. Meanwhile, Manon and the 13 prepare to go to Ilwe with the Krakens. And so Manon's basically like helping her grandmother do all these things. They're getting brooms and like doing all this stuff in the camp. And so Dorian is like still trying to work on shapeshifting. And right now, all he can do is turn those beautiful blue eyes brown. So Dorian and Manon, like, also Dorian and Manon have been hooking up this whole time, but
Yeah.
they don't talk about, like, it's just like, we need this, but they like go off in the woods. Like, they're very, earthy. But they do finally like come close to like admitting, like, just be together. Okay. It's okay.
Right.
Just be together. Like, both of you are like wild animals. Just, it's okay. So back with Aelin, she is like strapped down to this metal table in this tent, and Karen's about to torture her with fire, but she decides to like try to get him to kill her because basically, like, she's like, I'm not putting on a collar, so kill me. But something like Rowan's nearby. So something literally like sparks Rowan, and he's like, they were like planning to go late something, and Rowan's like, we need to go now. Like, he's like, I have to. He basically knows that Aelin's like given up. And so Aelin like is convincing Karen to unlock her because he's like beating on her. And she's like, well, if you unlock me, you could beat me better. And like when he's not able to kill her, she like literally is just like, I'm going to like, please let me die, like die. And that motivates Fenris to literally sever his blood oath with Maeve, even though it's probably going to kill him. And he attacks Karen. So while Karen's distracted, Aelin takes a hot poker and like literally gets the chains off of her feet, and she runs. And Rowan is like flying overhead, and is he an eagle or a hawk?
Hawk.
He's a hawk. And like he's flying overhead, and she starts running, like zigzagging, like they're shooting at her. She's killing soldiers. And Lorcan and Gavriel are like on the ground, like they're trying to block the arrows. And Lorcan literally is like, here, like, run to me. And I always see people make this point of like how, because her mind was so messed up by Maeve, like Lorcan is the only person that she could assume would be there, because obviously Maeve would never use Lorcan to mess with her head. And she literally like runs to him, and they're able to get away. And so Rowan and Gavriel, they find Karen. I wish this scene had more. I wish it does. And they find Karen and Fenris, and they're both injured. So Gavriel is healing both of them, and Rowan chains Karen to the table, and basically it's like he uses his wind powers and he makes a bubble, and he pulls out like a scalpel, and Karen literally pisses himself and he gets to work on torturing this man. Yeah. Good job. Yeah. So Lorcan and Aelin get to where Elite is, because she obviously wasn't with them that close, and Aelin is like literally losing it. She's like, please get this off of me. Like, she still has her mask on. Get this off of me. And they're like, they can't get it off. They need a locksmith. Rowan and Gavriel come back with Fenris, and Aelin teaches Rowan the word mark for open. So he uses his blood to unlock and remove her chains. And once it's off, she can literally get her fire magic like immediately. And she's like, I don't know if it's this point where he's like, she's been like tunneling down in her magic like all those months. She's been gone for like 3 months, 2 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 2 to 3 months. Like, she's been gone for a minute. It literally like burns her clothes off. And she literally has none of her scars, none of her battle scars, none of her whip scars, none of the tattoos, like nothing, because they've just healed her over and over again. So we go back to Dorian. It takes him 3 days, but he finally is able to change his eye color back to blue because he hasn't been able to, but he's not really able to do any other shifting. And so he also has like been like watching the 13, and 2 of the, I can't remember who it is, the spies from the 13 have been like out scouting, and he like can tell that they've like killed some people. So the witches all end up like getting to this rendezvous point that they were trying to get to, and it's like deserted battlefield by the time they get there. There's a bunch of dead Krakens, so Manon and the 13 like bury the Krakens, and there's like some messengers that come and tell them that 4 covens did survive, and they're aiding the royal family to fight against the army. So Dorian tries to summon Gavin, but instead summons Kaltane. And, you know, shout out to Kaltane. Like, her story is so sad.
Yeah.
But we know Kaltane had sacrificed herself to help Elide get out. And Kaltane basically confirms that the final key is in Morath and orders Dorian to not stray from the keep. and Dorian is finally able to fully shapeshift, and he turns into a raven. So Aedion and the other allies have been like fighting off Morath's forces for 3 days. I don't even know how that happens. Like, how do you fight for that long? I don't get battle, like even like human battle where they're like, we'll fight and then we take a break, no one attacks it. Like, how does that work? Like, let's get this over with. But anyway, so they've been fighting for 3 days. He's like, we're not gonna last another night. And the soldiers again are like, why is not Aelin not using her fire magic? The rest of Ansel's army hasn't like showed up yet, and Aedion basically is like hopeless that they're gonna get any help from the Krakens or the Mycenians that Captain Rolf is supposed to be bringing. So he orders people to like retreat north to another city so that they might be able to like take out some of the forces near the river. Aedion literally he does this often. He like literally takes all his stuff like out on Lysandra. He hates her. He hates the whole thing that her and Aelin came up with, the plotting to impersonate Aelin. He tells her she's useless, and he tells her to just get the hell out of my way. Like, he doesn't want to see her. And she goes. So Aelin is like really struggling. Obviously she's been tortured, and she's really struggling like with trust. She doesn't know what to believe. And she still has like all this power that she needs to like get out, but she's trying to restrain it. Rowan tells her, that he killed Cairn, and he tells her she's been gone for 2 months and 3 days. And so they finally are able to let her like bathe. They find this like they're like taking a cave to like sneak out of the city. So they're in this like underground lake. And there's literally like these massive eels. Like, they bring a boat to her, and the little folk, which are the same little folk, like not the exact ones, but they're the ones that saved her like that night when she was, or helped her that night when she was running from Erewhon when she was a kid. Like, they literally like they show up and they like pull the boat through the cave system, and they're trying to get them out to sea. And somehow the little folk have Mab's crown, so they give it to Aelin and they crown her the queen of the little folk. So as they're leading them through the caves, like Elide is really still struggling with like her feelings for Lorcan. She's like happy that he helped save Aelin, but like still doesn't know if she can forgive him. So they travel for 4 days through the cave systems, and they enter like a cave dwelling where there's these Barrow-wights, which are ghosts that covet treasures. Which, okay, so theory. People think that the Barrow-wights, or think that the Undertaker in Crescent City is a Barrow-wight. Just a possibility. So there's like all this treasure. So Aelin, Rowan, Gavriel, and Fenris, like they go to like steal like gold to help fund their travels. And in the hoard, Aelin finds 2 rings for her and Rowan to symbolize their marriage. These rings, Rowan's ring is gold with a ruby, which is almost exactly the same as the ring that Lydia has from her father's line. Yes. A ruby ring passed down through her father's line. And Lydia looks like Aelin. Kind of. She's blonde. She has fire magic.
Huh.
Yes. And her son is named Brandon. Yep. Aelin's.
Interesting.
I'm trying to see, was there something about Aelin's ring? I can't remember something. I can't remember if it pops up again. But yes, so there's that little tidbit there. Also, Lydia's a shifter. Rowan's a shifter.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. So anyways, they have these rings and they symbolize their marriage. And Fenris trades his wolf form for his fae form. He finally like switches, and he tells them that his brother is dead as well. So Fenris is like off with Lorcan. He's like, I'm not. He blames him for Aelin's capture. So they're still sailing, and Aelin's really like using this time to like try to work through her trauma, and she's trying to strategize. So Morath's army finally shows up in Aniel. about 5 days later. So residents have evacuated, but like all those who can't like have taken shelter within Chaol's family's keep. And Nezrin and Sartak end up arriving too with like all of the Rooks, and they have like archers and they have healers with them. So this is when Chaol learns that Irene is pregnant, just as the city is under siege. So that's perfect timing. So the 13 decide to bury the Kraken witches that were killed because that seems like an honorable thing to do, and that's how they earn the Kraken's respect. So Manon decides that she's going to fly to the Farian Gap and try to convince Petra, who is the Iron Teeth heir, that she kind of has a good relationship. She's the one who she saved, and her wyvern Keely died saving like Abraxos or something like that. Yeah. So she's like, I'm gonna try to talk to Petra because Petra's pretty like level headed. So Manon hears Dorian talking with Kaltain and his like plot to like infiltrate Morath. So Manon is like worried because she's like, are you like basically trying to get yourself killed? And she basically wants him to show her that he can shapeshift by helping the 13 sneak into the Farian Gap. So Aelin and the cadre like reach the sea. They embark on the coast, and they are like on foot, basically trying to get to a port. So Aelin sends letters to Aedion and Lysandra, and they get passage on a ship, and they sail for Terrasen. And once they're like on board, Aelin opens up to Rowan and like is able to talk about her captivity, and they reconnect finally. So she's moving kind of quick through her emotions, but it's already a long book. So she though does have like an issue with Lorcan. Like she's having trouble. But Lorcan obviously is worried that he's going to lose a lead completely. So he swears his blood oath to Aelin, so that he can be in Terrasen without her having to fear him betraying her. And they plan on like, it's going to take them 2 weeks. They're going to try to like train and strategize while they're on their way there. So Dorian shapeshifts into a Vonk to get into the Farian Gap. So he gets in there and he finds Petra and 300 of the Iron Teeth, but none of like the matrons. And so Manon like requests an audience with the witches, and she basically says like, this is why we left. She tells them that her grandmother plans to get rid of all of the Blue Blood and Yellow Leg clans and basically make the Blackbeaks supreme and rule over all of the Iron Teeth as their high queen. And Astrid tells them like what their grandmother did to her about like branding her and her child and everything like that. So Manon basically says that they should make an alliance between the Krakens and the Iron Teeth, and she hopes this will break the curse that is preventing them from being able to go to their homeland in the Waste. And she invites the Blue Bloods to join her to fight against Erewhon, and she just kind of leaves and like lets them figure that out. So Aelin is having nightmares about her captivity, and she's like really resentful to the gods, which I 100% support, because they want her to sacrifice her life for this lock, which is also what Dorian is planning on doing. It has to be one of the two. So they are like in some storms, so they're like having to stop in the south of Aurelia. So Aelin is like just still working on training, and she's teaching all of the cadre word marks. So they have been fighting in Aniel for 5 days now, and somehow Chaos House is like still good or whatever. But Prince Asar, one of Sartak's brothers, shows up and has like more foot soldiers and cavalry. And Chaos is able to like fight while Irene is healing people, but as she gets weak, he gets weak. So like he can walk if she's like 100%, but he's losing that ability. So Aedion has his armies retreat because they were losing, and like the soldiers are not happy about that. They're really pissed about Aelin not using her fire. They feel like she's abandoned them as their queen, and they are trying to get across this like frozen river, and the armies are really close behind them. So the Fae, the Whitethorn Fae, are able to like unfreeze the river, which drowns some of the forces from Morath, but they're still like right on their tails, and they're taking like some of Aedion's army literally just starts like to run away, which I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So they're fighting again, and Lysandra shifts into Aelin on the battlefield, and she's trying to like raise morale. But Aedion like comes up to her, and he's like, "You're not going to like survive. Like you're not a trained soldier." So Lysandra gets hurt, and she like is really like losing blood, but she's able to like hold her own long enough to like get away. And as this all happens, witches show up with those witch towers that Manon's grandmother was making. And they basically are going to use the yielding, which is like the only magic the witches really have, which is where they sacrifice themselves and they have this magic explosion to power those towers. So one witch does it, and it literally kills 4,000 soldiers. Just all at once. So with Aniel, Chaol, and Irene are meeting up with Nezran, Tartak, and Hussar to like discuss about battle strategies, while Aelin and the cadre are like just learning about what's going on in Aniel, and they're like quickly trying to get there. And so they do show up, and somehow Aelin and Chaol have like some joyful reunion. And then she like recognizes Irene, like she remembers her, and like they all like meet up. So Aelin meets Lysandra's uncle, Falcon. She recognizes him as the merchant, which Keely pointed out from when she was in the Red Desert. And he basically has like his full shifter abilities back because Dorian killed, because he always thought that if he killed the spider, he would get his years and stuff back. Dorian killed the spider, and now he has all his abilities back. So they're all just kind of like updating Aelin. And like they talk about how like the spiders and Maeve are all Vogue. So Nezran explains like the history of the Vogue, which matches up to the story that Maeve told Aelin. So like that part wasn't a lie. And Nezran also tells them that Irene has found a way to like get the Vogue out without killing the human. So Aelin also is like sharing like what happened during her captivity with Maeve. Aelin is still disgusted with Orkin. And she's even more disgusted when she finds out all the stuff about Maeve. So she tells him like, I don't care what happens to you tomorrow. Like, I don't care if you make it off the battlefield. Die. Okay. So, back with Manon, her, the 13, and Dorian return to the other Krakens, and they're just waiting for the Iron Teeth to, like, get back with them. And Dorian is, like, still practicing shifting into his Raven form so that he can go to Morath. And a couple of days go by, and Lysandra's been, like, out this whole time. And she wakes up to Aedion, who basically tells her that they had to give the city over to Morath's armies and that they're retreating to Orinth. And that the soldiers witnessed Aelin shift back into Lysandra while she was injured. So now they know Aelin's not there. Ouch. So Aedion's like, I'm sorry that I was hateful to you. But she's like, no, screw you. Like that, like, right. There's only so many times that you can do that. Aedion has done this like 3 or 4 times to her at this point. Like every time you like get all upset, you want to like, you know, you just have your little man tantrums and no, goodbye. So she's like, I'm not ready to deal with you. Because he humiliated her. Like he treated her so terribly. Yeah. So Darrow basically, like, he reaches out to the army and he strips Aedion of being general of the Bane because he disobeyed orders. And now Aedion's, like, just a soldier. And he threatens to execute Lysandra if she turns into Aelin again and takes the sword of Orinth from Aedion. Like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You are Aedion. Kill him. Kill him. And they're, like, basically trapped as, like, Erewhon's army just, like, backed them into a corner. So Aelin finally meets Chaol's father, who is an ass. And it does not go well, and they immediately hate each other, as Aelin does tend to piss off people. But basically, they like all talk afterwards, and Elite asks like who is going to rule over Doranel once Maeve is gone, and they realize that Aelin, because she's a direct descendant of Queen Mab, is like the only one who has like an undisputed claim to the throne. Aelin's like, I don't want that. Like she literally was like, I just want Terrasen. I don't want all these other like things or whatever. So she's like, I would rather it go to one of the descendants of Mora, who's the other Fae Queen, because it's only those 2 true queens. So Dorian is done with the Raven. He shifts into one of the witches. We have girl Dorian. And Manon is still like asking like, or no, Manon won't ask him to like not go to Morath because, you know, pride, but she doesn't want him to go, but he knows that she doesn't want him to go. But the Krakens basically like kind of pack up their stuff. They're planning on going back to their like home spot. But then the Iron Teeth matrons show up. So the Yellow Legs matron is wearing the Kraken crown of stars to like mock them, and Manon ends up fighting to defend the Krakens, and she kills the Yellow Legs matron and steals the crown back. And Manon allows the Blue Blood matron to live as like a gesture of goodwill to Petra, because that's her mom, I think. And Manon's grandmother runs. Of course she does. because Manon's other grandmother, Glynis, was like she was like eyeing her. So Glynis crowns Manon as Queen of the Witches, and the Krakens and the 13 kneel to her. So Rowan starts to worry about Aelin, and basically because Aelin hasn't like used any of her power since she like got out that night. And they're like just trying to like get all of the weapons and stuff they can out of the keep. And Rowan and the others like leave Aelin behind to go out and fight, but she like shows up and she's like in all of this like gold armor, but she doesn't use her power. She just uses a sword. And Nezrin and Sartak are able to see like more soldiers trying to break into Aniel's dam, which will like flood the entire place and kill like literally everyone. It'll drown everyone. So they start flying like the Rooks over to like try to get them to stop, but it's too late. They've already cracked the foundation. And Lorcan is like, okay, no one loves me. So he goes like headfirst out into battle to like protect the front gates. And he literally gets charged by 10 Valk soldiers and like stabbed in the stomach. So Sartak and Nezrin are trying to get everyone to evacuate before the dam cracks, and if they don't, like, they'll die. And so, like, everyone shows back up at the keep, and Elid's like, where's Lorcan? Everybody's like, I mean, you know. So she steals Chaos Horse, and she rides out there to get her man. And she literally gets him, she drags him up, like, this 6'5" Fae warrior and this like 4' nothing girl, and she like he's like dying, and she like gets him on the horse and like rides him back to safety before the dam breaks. And Lorcan tells Elid that he loves her, and he's like, you know, just let me go, like, because when they're riding, he's like, let me go, like, I'm slowing you down. And she's like, no, like, I'm never gonna leave you. They're literally like a mile out, like when the dam like breaks. And Aruk like brings Aelin out, and she's able to like release her fire, which turns like all of the water into like a steam and save everybody. So Dorian is planning on going to Morath the next day, and Manon asks him to stay, and she's like, what if we just get married? What if? To make an alliance between Adarlan and the witches, and Dorian just doesn't believe that Manon like wants to be like confined by that. Like they end up like they're hooking up, but he's like, you're not like the marrying type, you know. He doesn't think she wants that, and she don't. Like they have their own thing. But the next morning when she wakes up, he's gone, and the 2 word keys are gone. So he's off on his murder mission. So Aedion sends out messages on behalf of Terrasen calling for aid, and the army like is. Erewhon's army is still like attacking them, and they start catapulting the heads of Ansel's soldiers at them, which is the army that they've been waiting on to show up. Yep. That's why they haven't showed up, because they're already dead. And then Rolf shows up with the Mycenaeans. He found them, and they are able to use like fire lances, the ones he was buying from the Kagan, and like cause the army to flee, and it saves them a little bit of time to get to Orinth. So Irene and the healers are like helping all the wounded after the battle, and the rest of the Kagan's army shows up. They heal Lorcan, and when he wakes up, Elid's right there. Elid tells Lorcan that she loves him too. They're together now. Is this the "And So Lorcan Did" chapter? And everyone's like, what did Lorcan do?
I think so.
I don't know if this is the "And So Lorcan Did" chapter, but yes, it's like everyone wants to know, like, we want that bonus chapter. So then someone shows up at the Kraken camp with news that Terrasen's asking for aid, and Manon the 13 and the leaders of like the Krakens agree to go to Terrasen. And since Manon is queen now, she lights the flame of the war, and the scout flies across the continent, like telling all the Krakens that like they're going to war. And then Aelin tells Rowan before they left Winland, she sent letters to Rowan's uncle, basically telling him everything about Maeve's plans and basically hinting that she is a Vogue. And she hopes that it incites a rebellion in Dornell that is going to dismantle her army. And then Hussar, Caution, Sartak, and like all their armies are deciding to go with Aelin to Terrasen, as Irene is like healing people from the Vogue. So Aelin wonders if Irene's power can destroy Erewhon and Maeve, and if so, then Aelin won't have to kill herself to forge the lock. So Aelin and Rowan are like searching like wordmark books to try to like find anything from the southern continent that might be able to help them. And basically like Chaos forces like his dad to give part of their territory to the like wild men of the mountains to get their help. And then, like, the Rukin and the riders are going to, like, march towards the mountains to, like, try to draw Erewhon's forces from the Ferrying Gap. And now we go to part 2. Even in summary, this is long. Which is Gods and Gates. So this is, like, when it gets good. So Dorian ends up shifting into a mouse to get into Morath. And he finds Maeve. And she is talking to Erewhon. Does he immediately know that she's who she is? Erewhon? No. I don't think he did either. Which I'm like, how? How do you know all of these things, but you can't tell who this is? Right. Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. And so Maeve finally does reveal her true identity to Erewhon, and she offers to ally with him now that, like, the people in Dornell are rebelling. So it did work, everything that Aelin did. And Maeve offers her spiders to Erewhon's army to be possessed by Vogue princesses. So Erewhon reveals that his plan is to bring his brothers, Orcus, I knew it was or something, Orcus, and that was her husband, and Mantix back into this world. And so after Maeve leaves Erewhon, she basically, like, she senses Dorian and she traps him. So Maeve also offers Dorian an alliance. She will permanently rid this world of Erewhon and his brothers in exchange for all 3 word keys. And Dorian is like, what if I marry you? And of course, because she's power hungry, that's like, okay, she's thinking about it. And he's like, I would marry you and give you the chance to rule Otterland in exchange for the spiders joining our forces instead. So Maeve agrees to this proposal. And then Dorian shifts into Elid's uncle, Vernon, who is loyal to Erewhon, to request an audience with Erewhon. But he's not able to, like, learn anything when he has that meeting. So Nezran and Tartak reach the Ferrying Gap, but they don't see any, like, witches or anything. So they're, like, basically telling Aelin, like, nobody's here. Like, I don't know what's going on. And so meanwhile, there are 6 Vogue princesses placed into the spiders while Dorian is, like, looking for the word key. He's trying to find it. And Maeve is, like, trying to seduce Erewhon so that Dorian can get access to the king's tower. So Erewhon's like, ew, no, and rejects her. Dorian shifts into a mouse and hides in her pocket while she meets with him. And Erewhon orders Maeve to summon the rest of her spiders, even though Maeve, like, tries to, like, delay it or whatever. And she's like, what if I just, like, made you more portals? And he's like, no, I want your spiders. So meanwhile, Aedian's armies are trying to trap Morath's forces, and they end up destroying 2 of the witch towers. But the third one is only, like, damaged, but it's still, like, standing. So at this point, Morath still has, like, 100,000 soldiers. Meanwhile, Maeve shows Erewhon, like, an illusion of his brothers, while Dorian shifts into Erewhon and sneaks into his tower. And Dorian finds a woman in Erewhon's bed, and, of course, just like Kaltain, the word key is in her arm. So he cuts it out of her, and, like, she literally, like, comes back to, like, normal, and she begs him to kill her. And then Maeve appears, kills her, and uses her power to get into Dorian's mind, putting him under, like, mind control. Very recent. So Maeve doesn't realize, though, that Dorian's done this before. And she doesn't realize that Dorian's been studying her since they made this fake alliance. He doesn't plan on marrying this hag. And so he remains in control of his mind, but pretends that Maeve has, like, taken over him. So he gains control of Maeve's mind instead. And he reveals that he's been searching Morath for the key, but he's also been weakening its foundation. And Dorian leaves more. I can't remember what exactly he says to her, but he's like, you think I would marry you? Like, he's like, ew. And so he leaves Morath as it collapses, like, releasing her mind, and, like, he steals her ability to make portals. Like, Dorian is, like, chef's kiss. Like, he's badass. His power is, like, just, like, there's no limits. He can do everything. So meanwhile, Irene is offering to heal Elid's foot, because girl, yes, but she doesn't, whatever. And the Rooks end up finding Vernon in the mountains. And he tells them that Perantha's been conquered by Erewhon and that Maeve has allied with Erewhon. So Vernon knows that there's, like, 100,000 soldiers and, like, headed to Orinth, and that the Iron Teeth are also stationed in the Ferrying Gap, or are on the way there. So Aelin chains him up in a locked room, basically just like he did Elid, and they just leave him there to die of starvation, which, well deserved. That's exactly what he deserves. Meanwhile, Aedian is, like, literally, like, trying to get his armies, like, some kind of morale and spirit. They have 1,000 wyvern riding witches that end up joining Morath's armies. So now they have 101,000. And he finally tells Lysandra again that he loves her. Yawn. And he's basically like, they're basically preparing to like die or whatever, because he doesn't think they're gonna make it. But Manon and the 13 end up arriving in Orinth, and they have their army of Kraken witches, which is a little over 5,000. So Lysandra and Evangeline end up staying in Orinth, where she's like, she's giving Aedion another chance. So Dorian summons Gavin again and he tells him that he has all of the word keys and he plans on bringing them to Aelin. So he shifts into a wyvern and he hides amongst like the other Iron Teeth so that he can get to Orinth. So they're in like these tunnels under the castle in Orinth, and Lysandra finds the Florine River and she's able to turn into a sea dragon. And she swims down river, basically like kind of waiting for like a signal from Rolf and the Mycenaeans. So Lysandra, when she gets it, she attacks their enemy as a sea dragon, and Aedion attacks them with like these flaming boulders, and they're all like fighting. And like a Vogue prince ends up like facing off with Aedion, and like it's not going well. Aedion gets stabbed, and Ren ends up killing the Vogue with a fire lance. But Aedion like goes unconscious and has to go to a healer. And then Aelin's armies are like rushing to Orinth, but they're like worried like they're not going to make it in time and everyone's going to be dead. So as they're traveling, Rowan re-inks all of Aelin's tattoos because they were erased during her torture, and he adds 2 more, one to tell their story and another that's a mystery to her. And this is so dumb. So Elide and Lorcan decide that they're going to be together and marry, and he's like, I'll be Lorcan Locken. That's the dumbest name ever. Lade and Lord Locken. This is when they hook up, because this is the and then Lorcan did chapter. This is the one. So Lorcan Locken. Jesus, say that 5 times fast. Meanwhile, Dorian finds Aelin and reveals that he has the word keys. So Lysandra like shifts back. They're still trying to hold back Morath's forces. And all of a sudden, like, yellow legs are like coming out of the sky, attacking Manon, attacking Abraxos, and literally one of the wyvern like chomp on Abraxos' throat. Don't hurt my baby. Mm-mm. So then Petra shows up, and she's fighting alongside Manon and the Krakens, which is able to save Manon and Abraxos from the witch. And they are able to like block off the river tunnels with boulders, so that they can get Abraxos to a healer. Lysandra returns to the castle, and she basically tells everyone that Morath has repaired the other witch tower. And so the 13 decide to go to the tower, and Manon has to watch this as all 12 of them, minus Manon, infiltrate the tower and commit a mass yielding, destroying a huge part of the armies.
And this is where I texted Dominique that I hate her.
I'm sure. Okay, sending another video. So here's the thing about the thing about the yielding. In Act of War, they save some children of the Blessed.
Yeah.
And one of their names is Briar. And SJM says that she does not reuse names. And people speculate that she's one of the 13. A lot of people speculate that they're not dead, that they travel when they yield. So, small silver lining, possibly. But yes, that is so traumatizing. For Manon.
Bawled.
Yeah.
Peyton can attest to it. She's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I hate this book."
Yeah, that is tough. That one, that's the tough one. Like that's tough. So yeah. So, I mean, even with that though, they're still kicking their butt. So, they're like literally like they all gather to honor the 13. They lay flowers on the battlefield. Manon is just like she's been with these people for 100 years. Like, they're her family. And there's like a flame that starts to bloom out in the waste, which shows that the curse that was preventing them from coming home has been broken. So the sacrifice did lead to something. So then Dorian and Chaol finally get to reunite after all, like, how long? And Dorian meets Irene. And Aelin and, like, her allies, they all vote on what to do with the lock. And they're like, should we do this lock right now, or should we go to fight in Terrasen? And the vote is, like, for the lock and sealing the word gate. So Rowan suggests that Aelin and Dorian do it together and give up half of their power so that they might live. And so Aelin and Dorian agree, and they go to Endovir, which is where the salt mines are, where she was enslaved, and they start to forge the lock. And Aelin absorbs the word keys into her arm, and she literally becomes the word gate. And Aelin and Dorian are, like, basically, like, knocked out, and they go into, like, this, like, realm, in between realm, where the lock starts draining their powers, and they realize that it's going to kill both of them, not spare anyone. And then the King of Adarlan shows up. This is what I thought was in the other book, that it was when he dies, and it wasn't. And Dorian's father shows up, and he offers to pay the price required to forge the lock. The King of Adarlan basically, like, is like, the reason that he's the King of Adarlan and he doesn't have a name is because that was his price. So in Throne of Glass, in the very first one, when, like, they kept saying, like, nameless is my price, and all, like, all the mark and all that stuff, it's because, like, that was his price for being with Erewhon. And so Aelin, like, kicks Dorian out, basically, and so that he can live, and she forges the lock with his father. Okay, last little section of chapters here. So Dorian tells Aelin of a message from her parents in their afterlife, that they love her, that they're proud of her, and they forge a lock with her. He forges the lock with her, and her power vanishes. Her fire is completely gone. I hate that so much. That pisses me off so bad. And all that she has left is that tiny sliver of water from her mother's bloodline. And then the gods appear, and they're, like, demanding that Aelin release them from this realm. They're in prison here. So she opens a portal to their peaceful realm full of rolling green hills. But before they go, she gives them a bargain. And she says if they leave Erewhon and Aurelia, they must return the soul of Elena, who they held captive. Why she wants to save Elena after all this, I don't know. But okay. And so in response to that, Deanna destroys Elena's soul. Because how dare you? How dare you ask us to do anything? And then crosses through the portal. I would have shut that thing. Yeah. So they don't give Elena back. Now she's gone forever, and they don't take Erewhon with them. So there's that. So Rowan feels his bond growing weak with Aelin. And the gods cross over into their own world. But Mala stops to gift Aelin a piece of her power back, because that's where she gets it from. And to avenge Elena, Aelin opens a portal to a hell realm inside the gods' peaceful world before closing off their only exit. And Mala's power allows Aelin to seal all of the gates in and out of her world and pay the price to return home. And the new tattoos that Rowan inked on her back included a word mark, which was a map back home to him, which she follows. That was the mystery. And this is the part that we love. Aelin falls through various worlds. She passes through a world where a great city had been built along a curve of a river, the buildings impossibly tall and glimmering with lights, Crescent City. She passes through a world of snow-capped mountains under shining stars, Prythian. Specifically, the Night Court, because she sees a pregnant fae and a man who lifts his hand and, like, slows her descent, which is Rhys and Feyre, as she's pregnant with Nyx. And he, like, slows her rapid descent, and she, like, falls slowly back into her world. She wakes up, she just has a little bit of her power left, and she is now immortal after she has sacrificed her mortality to forge the lock. So that's a happy part. And so it's been like a week since the 13 sacrificed themselves. And Ansel basically is like, hey, like, because Ansel also likes to be in the way. She's like, wants to offer her territory to Manon and the witches so that they can share it and the curse is broken. Aelin's allies are not happy with what happened with the lock because obviously Erewhon is still here. However, since the word gates are permanently closed, Aelin has ensured that Erawan's brothers can't come back. Dorian's magic also was depleted by the lock, but he still has more magic than Aelin does. So Elide gives Aelin Silba's ring, which offers immunity from the vault. That ring that she put on Dorian and all of that. So Orinth, they're still fighting Orinth, and they are like running low on soldiers, weapons, everything. They literally like are bringing in like older people. Lord Murtaugh dies fighting against the Vogue. He's made it all this time, and then he dies. And then they literally have like 4 days like left of like power before they'll have to surrender. And Lysandra and Aedion like finally just like decide like they love each other. They're just gonna use their final moments, whatever. So Aelin is trying to head north, and there's like a storm. But she finds the White Stag, the Lord of the North, which makes me think of House of Dragons. Literally gives me why can't I think of what that girl's name is right now? Not Daenerys. You know.
Don't ask me, because I don't know.
I know she doesn't watch Game of Thrones, but it's literally like this. I'll have to send that to you too. It's literally like same situation. And so he shows up, the Lord of the North, and all the little folk, and they basically like lead them to the capital. And Aedion has basically like they've like managed to last 5 days instead of the 4, but like literally they have nothing left. Oh, here's that scene from that show too. I love the AI art of it. It's like Aelin's here, even though she doesn't have any power now. So Aelin shows up. It literally took them 6 days to walk there. Again, I don't know how they're fighting after doing that, but okay. And so as her like fire magic is literally like burning out, Lysandra turns into a wyvern and is able to save her Aelin from a wyvern attack. And so then Aelin, Ansel, and Lysandra team up, and they start taking out the towers as like the Iron Teeth show up. Like there's literally just more and more of them. So then Gavriel, this one hurts. Gavriel teams up with Aedion, and they're fighting at the gate. And they're trying to seal the gate, and Gavriel literally like pushes Aedion through and goes out and sacrifices himself. And they never got any father, son, anything. Because Aedion. So there's that. So then Maeve and Erawan show up, bringing even more, and spiders, and Vogue princesses, and all kinds of things. So they're just like, whatever. So Aelin's like got this like flaming sword, like she's like, whatever, we're just gonna fight. So Aelin starts like trying to buy people time by putting doubt in Erawan's mind about his alliance with Maeve, and tells Erawan that Maeve plotted to expel him from this world, allied with Dorian when she was in Morath, and basically is gonna turn on him when you defeat us. She also tells him that there's healers waiting to use their power to destroy the Vogue. And even though she only has a little bit of magic left, she's like, I'm just going to fight you. So Rowan, Lorcan, and Fenris can tell that Aelin is about to like burn out, and so they're trying to get to her. And Erawan sees Irene, and he realizes like Aelin was telling the truth about the healers. So he breaks his alliance with Maeve, and he goes to like try to take out Irene. And so Irene purposely like had drawn him to her, trying to like leave Aelin alone with Maeve. So Maeve tries to distract Aelin with like illusions and tries to make her take the blood oath again. But Rowan, Lorcan, and Fenris show up, and Maeve attacks them and like is like taking them all down. So Erawan is telling Irene that like healers existed in his world too. He said they could unheal or unbind the word gate and make keys. And basically Irene is powerful enough that he needs her to do it again. So that's why he wanted Irene. But it's not Irene, it's Dorian. So he shifts back into himself as Erawan is realizing that this is a trap and that he's been trapped inside of a word mark that Dorian put on the floor. And then Lysandra shows up in wyvern form, carrying the real Irene, and she uses her healing power plus Dorian's magic, and they destroy Erawan. And before he dies, Dorian demands to know his father's name, which this is when he finds out that Dorian's father's name, the King of Adoran, his name was Dorian, because otherwise it was forgotten. So he gave him his name so that it would never completely be gone. And so Maeve is still like attacking the guys, and she's like showing them their greatest fears. Rowan's is Aelin's death. Fenris is being trapped in his wolf form while his brother like blames him for his death. And Lorcan's is being rejected by Elide and refused to have a home in Paranth. So Aelin, like, basically ends up burning the cadre with her flame to release them from Maeve's illusions. And she writes a word mark that she found in the books that Chaol brought back in the snow. And it opens a portal to, like, this ancient tribe of wolf-riding Terrasen Fae who have long been victimized by Maeve and her spiders. And the Fae attack the spiders while Aelin, Rowan, and Lorcan use their power on Maeve. And Fenris, like, he winnows. That's basically what Fenris, he teleports, which he hasn't done since his brother's death. And he stabs Maeve from behind, and they plunge Aelin's sword, Goldrin, into her heart. And then Aelin places Silba's ring on Maeve's finger, and it literally, like, rips her apart from inside, and then they behead her. Like, this is a thorough execution. This is what I need for, like, all villains. Like, all parts taken care of. And so after they've killed them both, the Vogue armies collapse, and the Iron Teeth Witches run. And they, like, people start chanting, like, Irene's name. Aelin and the cadre go into Orinth, and, like, her people welcome her home. And Falcon finally gets to meet with Lysandra and tell him that, you know, he's her uncle and he, like, got her this whole fortune. Darrow and Evangeline meet Aelin at the gates, and he pronounces her as queen. She reunites with Adian, and she offers Gavriel the Blood Oath in death to honor his memory. Lorcan agrees to stay with the lead in Paranth and marry her, and he also plans to tie his life to her. Why do we have to do that? We don't need to do that. But he wants to live a mortal life with her and die with her. So I guess that's fine. Whatever. Irene plans on staying with Chaol and Aurelia, and they're going to start their own Tori Chesme in Otterlin. The Kraken witches basically find Manon with a king's flame flower that grew in the waste, signifying that, like, things can grow in the waste now and the curse is over. So Manon, Petra, and Bronwyn agree to bring their clans home together as one people. And Aelin gathers her court, and she, like, suggests that they have, like, a better government. And she visits Manon and offers to build a monument for the 13 in the place where they sacrificed their lives. And then Rowan's cousin is crowned Queen of Dorinel, so there's a white thorn on the throne in Dorinel. And then Aelin has her coronation, and I believe she wears gold, because Rowan loves gold. Aelin offers Adian the Blood Oath, and then at the ceremony, the little folk bring Mab's crown to Aelin, and they crown her Fairy Queen of the West. And a little bit more. And then, so Dorian, Dorian meets with the Kagan, and basically find out that some of the Rukin have found abandoned wyvern eggs in the Farian Gap. And so they're going to leave some of the Rukin behind to, like, raise and train them. And Dorian, like, says goodbye to Nezran because she's going to go back with Sartek and get married, and she will be Empress of the, whatever that place is called. I can't remember still. And then Chaol gets a letter from his mom, who basically is like, I'm done with your dad. I want to reconnect with you. I love you. And he agrees to take in his mother and his brother with him and Irene. Manon accepts Dorian's offer to, like, be involved in the training of the wyverns or wyverns, or however you want to say them. And, like, they're going to be his new heir. So they're going to be teamed up together. They want to do all the things, but put a name on it. And then basically everyone starts to go home. Even though Falcon's going to stay to, like, be with Lysandra and work on building his empire in Terrasen. So everyone's leaving, and all that's left at the inn is Dorian, Chaol, and Aelin, right where they started. And she tells them that she loves them, and then we get a little epilogue. And basically, after rebuilding Terrasen, spring comes, and the King's Flame bloom as far as the eye can see. Elite and Lorcan are married, and Adian and Lysandra are going to be married soon. The end.
The end.
Thoughts?
It was stressful.
It was.
But I really enjoyed it. I bawled like a baby. Again, I really enjoyed it, though. 4.5 stars from me. So...
Yes, I'll have to look back and see. I think I gave it a 4 or 4.5 or 5. It's one of those three. I'll have to look and confirm when I post the things. But yeah, I mean, it's just really good, and it's the only complete series of hers, so it's nice. I wish there was a spinoff with Dorian and Manon. Because those two are just so interesting. I'm trying to see if there's any other connections between the Fae. Obviously, they think that like all of the shifters in like Crescent City are from Terracin, like and from that world, and that they came over. I do think there's I said this last time. I do think there's a connection between Reese and Maeve. I think Reese is a little Vogue. I don't know. I want to know more about his mom.
Yeah.
And they always point out that we don't know what Reese's last name is. We never learn what his last name is. I don't know. Do we ever know what anybody's last name is, though, in that book? I think we do. I feel like we do. But I know we don't know Reese's last name. So there's that. But yeah, no, I just, yeah. I mean, no, like, major characters die, but the side characters, I know. Somebody has to die. That sucks. Yeah. It does. So, okay. So, favorite book in the series?
Honestly, probably this one.
Oh, okay.
It had me feeling all the feels, so.
Yeah. Favorite character?
Oh.
Male character and female character. We'll make it a little bit easier. Is it Chaos?
Favorite male character? Jesus. Probably Dorian.
Same. We love Dorian.
Favorite female character would probably be, oh Lord, Irene. I really like Irene.
I do like Irene, but she's attached to Chaos and it makes me not like her. I don't know. My favorite, I'm gonna say Dorian, and then I'm just basic, and I'm gonna go with Aelin. I do love Aelin. Ooh, favorite female main character, SJM. Aelin, Bryce, Feyre.
I would probably say Aelin.
Yeah, she's nice. Okay, so favorite main male character, Reese, Rowan. I hate to even list Hunt in this. Like, I'm gonna list a few. This one's gonna be harder. Okay, Reese. I'm only gonna pull Reese because the other two I'm not gonna pull. So Reese, Rowan, Dorian, Rune, and then Hunt.
Dorian.
I don't know. I'm a Reese
with Rowan
girl.
Being a very close second.
I do love Rowan. I'm like, that's hard. I don't know. I'm like Reese because like I'm just like tried and true, and then Rowan and Dorian are equal because they're completely different people and they're like not the same on the spectrum at all.
Right.
Worst death in this series.
Worst death. Like how it impacted me,
yes.
Or
to you, like what was the most?
It was definitely the 13.
The 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's Kaltane. Kaltane gets me because I just like we hate her, and then it's like
yeah.
Oh, like it's rough. Like that's rough. Yeah. No, that one's harsh. Okay. Cool. All right. We're done with the series. Do we have reviews?
Yes. This honestly has to be one of the most highly rated books, just in general, and then based off of like the ratings, because it has a little over 890,000 ratings. Wow. And it is at 4.71 stars.
Dang.
So almost 5 stars, and that is a lot of ratings.
800, almost 1 million. That's crazy.
So, 5 stars there. 77% of the ratings is 5 stars, and less than 1% is 1 star. But that is almost 3,000 reviews being 1 star. But still.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So 5-star. Definitely want to get one that's not 15 paragraphs.
Yeah, that might be hard.
um, 5 stars. Wow. I have never cried like this while reading a book. Such a testament to how SJM brings her characters to life and how connected I became to them. This entire series was an amazing tribute to the kinds of love that exist beyond romantic love, but it also gave me exactly what I needed in terms of romance, and for that I am thankful. I am genuinely devastated to be done with the series, though nothing could ever fill the ACOTAR-shaped hole in my heart. I now have a throne of glass-shaped hole to match. I liked that review. That wasn't the whole review. I just read the
That was
paragraph.
pretty good.
So this 1 star.
Do you know this person?
No.
Oh.
Just the gasp because what they said was blasphemy. Please tell me Aelin and Rowan die.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
What? Why? You've read this far and you don't like them? That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. And the crazy thing is there's 329 likes.
Josh. That's crazy.
Yeah. Somebody said, can Aelin please stay in her coffin and rot? And can Rowan please disappear from the world or die painfully?
Oh my god!
When Manon and Aelin can marry and be witch queens together, and Chaol and Dorian will marry each other, and the rightful kings to Otterlin. That's the ending we all need.
No.
I had like that instead of the 1,000 pages of torture and fae porn.
Okay.
We know this is going to be. They DNF'd it.
What? That's insane. That
I was about to say this wasn't even like.
There's not even a lot of. It's like off screen.
Yeah.
All of it. And why would you read 7 other books? However many, and you don't like Aelin and Rowan? You like Chaol? People. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry if you like Chaol. People who like him above other characters, I question. I do. He is insufferable. What? That's crazy. Okay. That's crazy. All right. Well, we did it. We finished it. We finished all of the SGM books. We finished all 3 of the series. And it's our break. So when we come back, we were planning on doing Blood and Ash, so that's still the plan at some point for our next series. And then all of our normal, regular, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so little break, couple months, getting refreshed. Still lots of reading. I'm 35 books ahead or something like that. I'm not 35. I'm like 13 books or something ahead on my reading goal. I don't know. I'm ahead. So yeah, no, that'll be good. And I think that's all I got. Keely, you got anything?
I don't.
All right. Keep listening. Keep sharing the episodes with other people. And we will see you or talk to you in a few months. Bye.
Bye.